So before you comment it, yes, I know I got the A and the C flag the wrong way around on Combine. I was going to change it, but I've recorded quite a lot of commentary and it just felt like a pain to go back through and change every time I said C to A. The same still applies even if you call it the A or C flag. At the end of the day, it's still a flag and you can still use these tips just the same even if I do call it the wrong thing. Hello lovely people and welcome back to another video on my channel. In today's video I'm going to be giving some general domination tips for how to do well. I decided to do this video after someone messaged me when I was playing after I got some high scoring gameplays in a row. They asked me how I got so many kills so many times in different games consecutively. So I thought after explaining it to them briefly, I'd explain it a bit more in depth on here on how I think it's best that you can get high scoring gameplays whilst playing domination. Now on your screen is a gameplay that I got. I go 91 and 19 with the 48 Dredge LMG on Combine, as you can see. I was going for Diamond at the time, that's the only reason why I was using it. But this gameplay worked out quite well. I am playing hardcore domination, which makes this gun even easier to use. The full gameplay will be shown in this video. There will be a couple of cutaways every now and again, but the video will play exactly where it left off from. However, I won't be commentating over the whole thing as I don't think I need that much time. So the secret to doing well in domination and getting a lot of kills is knowing and controlling the spawns. They're both just as key as each other, and I will briefly go through both of them and use the map Combine as an overhead view. You will see a picture of the map. I'm going to put some lines and arrows and stuff on it as I talk through it that match up to what I'm saying, so you'll be able to see what I mean. This is quite a simple one. As you know, in domination your team will spawn near a flag that you hold. So if you hold one flag, the A flag for example on Combine, you're going to spawn on the A side of the map unless the enemies are close and try and push in to capture the A flag, in which case you might spawn just outside of it or even on the other side of the map. This can be very useful if you know and understand this. So here is Combine from above. I have put the flags A, B and C on the map. In this situation, the team we're on is going to be holding the B and the A flag, and the C flag is held by the enemies. So as you can see, the enemy team are going to spawn at the C flag, and I'm going to be spawning primarily at the A flag. The B flag in the middle doesn't happen very often just because it's quite a hectic place. So to be getting a lot of kills on this side of the map, you want to be pushed up but not too far into the spawn that it would cause the enemies to flip to the other side of the map. Here is a line over Combine where I think it's ideal to stand behind. You want to be stood behind this line, so where the arrow is pointing just now. That side of the line, if you're sort of in that area, the enemy team are always going to be spawning at that C flag. This means they don't have many options. They can run down the left side, through the middle building or down the right side, and if you keep popping in and out every now and again, you can pick them off. They can never really get out of their spawn. Now this isn't spawn trapping. Spawn trapping is when you watch someone spawn. You block off all potential spawns so they spawn right in front of you, right in the line of your gun, and you can just hold down the trigger. This is controlling the spawns. Now these spawns are quite delicate. If you start to push too far past this line too often, or there's too many teammates near this line, it will cause the enemy team to flip to the other side. Now you need to be very wary of this if you're going for a lot of kills. It's harder in hardcore, quite easy in regular because you have your map, but make sure you're paying attention to whereabouts your teammates are. If a lot of your teammates are pushing up towards their spawn, and especially if some decide they want to walk in, the enemy team will start to spawn on the other side of the map, which means you can either run and start to capture the flag you were just spawn trapping them at, or you might want to start running to the other side of the map so you can do the same there. This can be seen in this part of the gameplay. In 1 second there will be a freeze frame with an arrow on it, so you can see the moment the enemy decided to push out of that left side building, and what this does is it flips the spawns for our team to the other side of the map, breaking the spawn control that they've got over us. When you're at this line, you don't want to be looking at where the enemies are going to be spawning all the time. Now I've put a star just here where the majority of the enemies are going to be spawning. When you're inside the building, for example, it is very easy to look through that doorway and look at the exact spot that they're going to be spawning in. However, if you do this, it's going to stop them from spawning there as it's direct line of sight. They may spawn just to the side of it, but it also may flip the spawns back to the other side of the map, which is not ideal for what you're trying to do. So what you want to do in this situation is essentially strafing runs across the doorway. If you look out and you've just killed 1, 2, however many enemies, or there's no one there, you want to keep moving past. You don't want to be looking out of the doorway for any long period of time, otherwise their spawn is going to be broken and they will no longer spawn on that side of the map, or at least in that spot. This applies for any spawn on any side of any map. Make sure you're not looking at exactly where they're going to be spawning, and if you do decide to do it, make sure it's a quick look. I take advantage of this spawn quite a lot, especially in the second half of this gameplay, so keep an eye out for that. This method with this imaginary line that you don't want to cross works for all maps and different size, not just the C flag but also the A flag. You may have to experiment around a little bit with how far you can push in before it changes the spawns, but eventually you will figure out where you can stand that you'll be able to watch people run through corridors, doorways, and you'll be able to pick them off really quickly and get a lot of kills from it. The spawn knowledge part comes in because you need to be aware of when your teammates are moving in and out. Not too many of you want to be standing in the same place, not too many of you want to be pushed up, and if you can see this happening you need to preempt it and move, maybe to the other side of the map, or maybe just to move to a different side of the flag so you can see a different angle. There may be a couple of situations where you're able to run into the enemy spawn and the enemies will still spawn around you, but this is really dependent on you being the only one that's pushed up to the spawn. If the majority of your teammates are back at your flag and sort of in the middle of the map, it kind of stops the enemies from spawning outside their flag, and the game sees one person, you, as not much of a threat to all 6 enemies spawning there, so it keeps them going. It's quite risky to be doing this, and you really need to be on your toes as they will spawn all the way around you sometimes, and you need to keep spinning, but it can pay off occasionally. If you get faced with a triple cap situation where your team has captured all 3 flags, then this is quite hard to stop and you will be running backwards and forwards quite a lot. The game tries to put them near a flag so they have a chance of capturing it again, but you'll find that because you're warned when the enemies are taking the flag, you and your teammates will run between the flags and they'll never be able to actually capture one again. This can get a bit boring and a bit tedious and your kills will be quite low really. It's also a situation where people tend to leave because it gets a bit boring constantly being killed off flags. So try and avoid a triple cap situation, and if you're the only one pushed up to a flag, see if you can let the enemies take that flag, because then maybe they'll spawn back again near the flag that you just let them take, and you'll get some more kills off it. I get why people go for triple caps. Domination, by definition, would suggest that you want to capture all the flags to truly dominate your enemies. However, I find that triple capping is not as fun as just capping 2 flags and using the method that I've been going through in this video. It's important to remember that this strategy isn't really the easiest and it's not going to work in every single lobby you play. If the enemy team manage to break out of it, which they do fairly often, it's not the hardest thing to counter in the world, especially if you're using grenades or rocket launchers, or even if they just pre-aim you at a doorway. You will die sometimes. It's not a method that gets you flawless gameplays. It might do, that's the flip side to it. It's a high risk, high reward sort of thing. You're constantly putting yourself in a position where enemies will be able to shoot back at you. You want to keep moving around, make sure you don't stay on the same line of sight every single time you pop out. If you can switch around to different ones, rotate through all the different lines of sight you know, then the enemies have less expectation of where you're going to pop out from. So I hope I've managed to explain this whole spawn control thing fairly well. It's not the easiest topic to get across to people, and it will take practice. It's not going to work straight away for all people. You will get used to doing it, but it might take a bit of time. This is something that I've developed over playing COD for many years. It's not something that I learned in a day and started putting into practice. But if you use these tips, it will come to you a lot quicker and you'll be doing it in no time. And you'll start to see the amount of kills you're getting per game going up. This gameplay is showing good examples of what I'm saying. If you'd like to see some more gameplay of this sort of thing so you can get a better idea of it, leave a comment below. If you want any more direct tips, also leave a comment, feel free to ask questions. Drop a like if you found this video useful, subscribe for more content, and I will see you guys later.
Town, from London to Taiwan, I've been all around.